Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's City of Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Madam Mayor, all members of the City Council are present.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report from closed session?
No, we do not.
Okay. So at this time, we're going to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, it will be led by Emily Koguchi and Charlie Mendez. Immediately following that, we will be led in invocation by the Reverend Rob Lee. So at this time, if everyone can please stand.
Put your right hand over your heart. Face the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Actually, I'm going to have everybody continue standing.
Okay.
Pastor Lee?
Let's pray. So, Lord, we just once again thank you for the opportunity you've given to us to come together and to reason well, Father. We pray it so. The blessing of God upon our business tonight, Lord. The blessing of God upon the city, upon this city council and those support people, Father. We pray that the Spirit of God continue to watch over our citizens, keep this city safe. We pray it so, Lord God, that we would be able to be united under you. We look to you, Lord God, for continued guidance, direction, protection. We pray it so, and by faith believe, Lord Jesus, your blessing would continue to be upon this city and upon the South Bay. We thank you, Lord, the opportunity you've given us to be able to worship you freely, and we just put our faith and our trust in you that you guide and direct us even now. We speak this forth in the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. If I could have our two pledgers come back to the front, Emily and Charlie. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by Emily Koguchi, who is in the 5th grade, and Charlie Mendez, who is also in the 5th grade. Both attend Dinker Avenue Elementary School, and their principal is Miss Judy Manyweather. Per their principal, Emily and Charlie are model citizens at their school. Both have been at Dinker Elementary School since kindergarten. They represent their 5th grade class, room 28, which is taught by Mrs. Morgan. There are outstanding students in the classroom and on the playground. They are truly Dinker champions. So tonight, I think we're going to begin with Emily first. Emily, can you tell us who brought you to tonight's council meeting?
My parents
Where are they
and
at?
my brother.
Oh, and your brother. Where are they at?
Here.
Right there. Let's everyone give them a round of applause. And Emily, is there anything you'd like to say?
Not much.
No? Okay, that's fine. Well, thank you. Charlie, can you tell us who brought you tonight?
My mom, and she's right here.
Right there. Okay, give Mom a round of applause, everyone. And is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, shoot, I wanted to know what's the square meter of 55?
The square meter, we're our finance guys. Are they in the back? The square meter of 55, I apologize, I do not know that.
Ooh, interesting.
Do you want to know the square footage of it? I don't know.
Just multiplied by 9.
Multiply by 9, that's Mayor Pro Tem's suggestion. Okay, that's a tricky question. I've never had that asked of us before. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. All right, well, thank you guys both for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and for being outstanding students at your school. And we look forward to seeing you guys coming back in the future. So thank you again. Everyone give them a round of applause. And if I could have Reverend Lee come back to the front. Tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend Rob Lee, who is the lead pastor at Gardena Valley Assembly, which is located at 1473 West 182nd Street. Rob Lee is the lead pastor of Gardena Valley Assembly on 182nd Street in the most southern portion of our city. He's been at the church since 1999. He leads the church with strong vision, casting, and pulpit ministry. Pastor Rob is a sworn police officer who also serves as the department chaplain for the Gardena Police Department. Pastor Rob believes that serving his church also means availing himself to the community as the pastor to the city. Gardena Valley Assembly's vision statement of reaching our city through Christian education, community outreach, and family support is part of the contribution Pastor Rob and this church bring to our city. They provide an array of services to the community. Pastor Rob, along with his wife of over 30 years, Debbie, have made their home in Gardena and raised their now 3 adult children here. Together, they serve our city along with their church and have been involved in many public and community events. Pastor, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to come up here and do this invocation. Great job on the 9/11 ceremony. Everybody was involved in that. And also had a really good Saturday cleanup day. So those of you guys that were involved in that, we held our end on the southern portion of our city, but it was a great day. A lot of people showed up, and we got a lot of stuff cleaned up. At least the evidence was obvious in the city yard when we brought the stuff in. So anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for doing those kinds of things, and that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All
We
right.
appreciate it.
All right.
Please give him a round of applause as well. So next on our agenda is our presentations. Tonight, as our new custom, where we honor military veterans, we will be honoring Miss Patricia Tish McCauley, and she was selected by Councilmember Rodney Tanaka. Councilmember, would you like to say anything before I read her bio?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've known Tish for quite a while now, and it took me a while to get her here. She's very humble, and so with some prodding, we got her here. But I'm proud that Tish came forward to come and show people that, you know what, there is something that you can do in life that actually brings worth to other people. And I appreciate that she continues to serve, not in the military, but she is a member of the Elks Lodge here in Gardena and continues to serve our community in a different way. But thank you, Tish. We appreciate you.
So tonight, along with her bio, once I finish reading that, she's going to be presented with a special coin that Councilmember Tanaka will give her, along with a certificate that Mayor Pro Tem will read after I read her bio. So it reads as follows. Born in Hemet, California, Tish is 56 years old and a longtime resident of Gardena. Her military service includes, at the age of 26, after graduating from Long Beach State University, she signed up with the California Army National Guard in May of 1988. Until she was honorably discharged in May of 1992, serving much of the service on active duty. She entered the military service at the rank of PFC E3 and completed basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey. Initially assigned to a recruiting office in Long Beach, California, she found that sales was not her strong point, so she entered surgical tech training. Tish was then promoted to Specialist E4 after completing her military occupational specialty training at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, as a 91 Delta surgical tech. Following training, the transfer order she received assigned her to serve at the beautiful Letterman Hospital at the Presidio in San Francisco, California. She was eventually transferred and assigned to the 143rd EVAC Hospital, which was similar to a MASH unit at the Los Alamitos Reserve Base. And because surgical techs needed to be able to transport an operating room, or OR, when setting up, she spent some summer months receiving truck driver training in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Shortly after returning to Southern California, Specialist McCauley accepted an appointment to the California Military Academy for training at Camp Roberts in San Luis Obispo, California. With the appointment, she received the rank of Sergeant E5. While she enjoyed working in surgery and the opportunity to train at Daniel Freeman and MLK Hospital, the risk began to outweigh the rewards. So when Tish was asked to re-up, she opted out and was honorably discharged. She then started a career with FedEx, holding positions of courier, manager, and trainer before finding the current position as an engineer since 2002. Yet some of her most cherished memories and friendships were made wearing the uniform, ready to serve our country. She shares that the military gave more than it asked in return, at least while she served during a peaceful time. So tonight, along with the special coin that Ms. McCauley will be receiving here, that was specially designed for this award here, you'll only get it in Gardena. She will also get copies of pictures of today's ceremony in a DVD, as well as pictures, along with her picture will be displayed on the electronic sign on Redondo Beach Boulevard and Western. So before we let you speak, Tish, we have one more certificate from our State Assembly member, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Ms. McCauley, we do have a certificate of recognition from our Assembly member, Al Muratsushi, 66th District. It reads follows, Certificate of Recognition to Patricia McCauley, a.k.a. Tish, United States Army National Guard, in recognition and celebration of your dedication and service to the United States of America, and with sincere appreciation for your selfless act of courage, signed Assembly Member. Congratulations.
Congratulations. If you'd like to say anything, now's your opportunity.
I'd just like to thank you not only for the recognition, but for the opportunity to remember a really good time of my life. I hadn't thought about it a whole lot in recent years, but going back through that, it was a lot of fun to remember. And as Rodney said, I am reluctantly here, but I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate that you do it for people who are much more deserving than me. So thanks very much, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Okay, next we have a couple of proclamations. The first one here is for our City Employee Recognition Day, which is September 26, 2019. The elected officials of the City of Gardena are most appreciative of the exemplary support that the city's dedicated employees demonstrate towards the city and its citizens. The City of Gardena employees have traditionally been honored for their service, and recognitions have been given for their years of service at special functions. In an effort to continue the City Council's long tradition of showing their appreciation to the city's employees, a special time of city employee recognition is planned for this coming Thursday, September 26, 2019. This will include a luncheon for all city employees, as well as a time of special emphasis to those receiving recognition for their years of service. So at this time, we proclaim Thursday, September the 26th, 2019, to be City Employees Recognition Day, to bring public awareness of the employees of the City of Gardena who complete their daily responsibilities in a commendable manner, and to show appropriate appreciation for their ongoing dedicated service to this community. So I'd like to just say to our employees, thank you for what you do year-round. Also, one other proclamation is our Gardena Heritage Day, which is going to be October 5th, 2019. Since 1994, the City of Gardena has hosted an annual multicultural gathering to celebrate and recognize Gardena's community-wide conviction that has the understanding and acceptance of our many and diverse ethnic heritages, which enrich the people's lives in the City of Gardena. The city's 26th annual Gardena Heritage Festival and Street Fair is scheduled for Saturday, October 5th, 2019, and will be held on the grounds of the Gardena Civic Center and in the Nakoka Memorial Community Center. A fun-filled day for the entire family, filled with nonstop live music and entertainment, a pancake breakfast hosted by our police department, a children's activity area, numerous retail and craft booths, carnival games, and a food court from local vendors and restaurants. Admission is free of charge to the public, and the cost to purchase food and beverages will be nominal. All made possible by the commendable generosity of local merchants, community organizations, service clubs, and dedicated volunteers. So, on Saturday, October 5th, 2019, we proclaim that to be Gardena Heritage Day and urge all citizens to join the day's celebration and recognition of the many cultures and ethnicities of our great city. So next, under appointments, does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, councils, or boards at this time? If not, let's move on to our consent calendar. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any items separately on the consent calendar? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next, we're going to move on to Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. First item is item number 7A1. Has everyone had time to look it over? At this time, does any member of the council wish to make, have any questions or make any recommendations on this? Councilmember Henderson?
I have a question. Is it possible for us to get a presentation of what the project's going to look like? We haven't seen the project yet. Is that possible?
Yes, sir, that's possible. We'll prepare that for you.
So,
Let me also add that the zone change will be coming to the council on the 22nd, so that will be your opportunity to.
So, just a quick point of clarification. So with the zone change coming on the 22nd, would that still call for this being a review or no?
You can call for review on the site plan
Okay,
because only the zone change comes up to the council. The actions of the planning commission would be final if there is no review.
okay. So Councilmember Henderson, with that being said, since you want to see what it looks like, because that's separate from a zone change, are you asking then for,
I was asking for a review then.
you're asking for a review then? Okay. Okay, with that being said, to our city clerk, I guess this is something that would come up in October 22nd? Okay. Okay. Next item is item number 7A2. Does anyone have any questions or comments, review, appeal, or not? If not, we can go ahead and receive and file this item here. Okay, next up is oral communications. Tonight, wait a minute, hold on one second. Just bear with me one moment here. Okay, well, we have no speakers tonight for oral communications. And that's a first here. Okay, so we're going to move on to departmental items here. First item up is item number 8A1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8A1 is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as CAPER, for program year 2018 to 2019. Staff requests that the City Council receive and file the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for program year 2018-2019. The CAPER provides U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, local officials, the public, information on the city's overall performance compared to the performance goals and community needs identified in the city's 5-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan adopted by the City Council. HUD requires that all grantees of Community Development Block Grant funds submit a report within 90 days of the end of the program year. Public notice was published in the Gardena Valley News on September 5th, 2019, and the draft CAPER 2018-2019 has been made available for public review and comment for the required 15-day period through September 19, 2019. No comments were received during the public notice period. There is no fiscal impact. What's required is receive and file the CAPER for program year 2018-2019.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item here? If not, we're going to go ahead and receive and file this item. Next up is item number 8B1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8B1 is the award of contract to Film LA to provide film permit services. Film LA serves 22 jurisdictions and is the official film office for the city and county of Los Angeles. Since 2010, Film LA has completed more than 273,000 permitted days of on-location film production, provided more than 100,000 permits for film industry customers, and has processed thousands of licenses for filming or parking at public area schools. Film LA benefits the film industry by providing quick answers to aid in production, planning for film industry contacts, as well as permit coordination, cross-jurisdictional film process procedures, and free marketing of city-owned properties. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the contract with Film LA for film permit services, which will include permit coordination, notification, handling of complaints, maintenance of fees, and marketing efforts. Film LA will benefit the City of Gardena by retaining approval authority, reducing paperwork and staff time, allowing potential to develop new sources of incremental revenue and promote public properties. This will allow the City of Gardena to take the necessary steps to further its mission of being business-friendly destination. There is no fiscal impact to the city. What's required is to award the contract to Film LA. I do want to note that Ms. Donna Washington, Vice President for Film LA, is in the audience today for any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. So with that, does any member of the council have any questions or comments? We're going to start here with Councilor Medina. Questions?
Yes, with regards to Film LA, when I was booking a lot of the films that were being filmed at the Normandy Casino, we would go out and find scouts to film various movies. And once we got a hold of Film LA, it was like, so much easier. It's all the headaches and gray hair were gone. So I highly recommend them to help out. It makes the whole process so much easier because I was booking the Normandy Casino and the Hustler for a lot of filming, and it's a lot of hard work, as you well know. But Film LA makes it smooth.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I was wondering if we could ask Ms. Washington from Film LA to kind of come explain the program to us in the community in regards to, we know the benefits, and we need to just make sure we're clear on how the revenues are gathered and everything and all that, if we could.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Serta, and council people. I am Donna Washington, VP of Operations. And I'm sorry, to your question, you wanted to know how the process will work going forward?
Yes.
We are a streamlined permitting process, and so basically what will happen in the future is when production companies want to film in the city of Gardena, they will contact our office and start the process. We will gather insurance, we will gather all the information about the locations, including base camp information, all the activity, and we will basically coordinate with all the city departments to gain the approvals. During the process, we'll make sure that notification is being done prior to the company showing up to the location. If there are issues with community members, whether it be businesses or residents, we will answer those questions and deal with those issues. Also, when the location, the permit gets issued, if there are problems on location, we have community relations folks that will go out and deal with those problems and issues and answer questions and mitigate concerns. Besides the permitting, we will offer production planning assistance with companies that want to film in the city of Gardena. We will have an on-location library that we will be taking pictures of city property and putting those photographs up, so the industry members will have access to that information right away. Besides the production planning assistance and the permitting, I mentioned the community relations. We also do reporting for you. We will also handle the accounting. We are a full-service organization. We are available 24/7, so if there are problems after hours, you can reach us anytime. My cell phone rings 365 days a year. So we're going to try to make it easy for the industry to be here. I know this is a city of opportunity, but we want to make you also the city that is the most film-friendly. So we want to encourage production here. For the last 2 years, I've been working with Stephanie. By the way, I want to give a huge shout-out to Stephanie where she is. I don't know where she is. But she's been working with me for 2.5 years on this process. And so we've changed our ordinance. We've changed your conditions. I also want a huge thank you to you and also to the mayor. You guys were early supporters of ours in the beginning, and I think that we are actually coming to the final end. So in about a month's time, we will make announcements about our partnership, and we are looking forward to encouraging more production in your city. But for the 2 years that we've been working with you, we've been pushing people to come to Gardena. We think that it's definitely a city of opportunity.
Okay, go ahead, and then we're going to go to Mayor Pro Tem.
So, Ms. Washington, in regards, because we are the loveliest city of the 16 cities in the South Bay, we are the loveliest. We are the loveliest.
Yes.
How do we ensure that there's some equity in regards to a company wants to film, let's say, in Torrance versus Gardena and everything? I mean, we are a lovely city, so how do we make sure that there's that opportunity that we kind of get some,
You're actually going to have equal footing with the city, the county, and the 16 other jurisdictions that we do serve. We're going to put your city properties up on a local scout. We're going to talk, like we have been, we're going to talk you up. There are things that you can offer that other cities cannot offer. You've got, some major casinos here. You've got some available warehouse space, which we don't have anywhere else in the city, by the way. All our stages are full. And so one of the things that Stephanie earlier on provided for us was all the empty warehouse space that you have. And so we are encouraging the industry to check those spaces out for use. And so, meeting your department heads, they've all are very film friendly, and it's very encouraging to have a city basically roll out the red carpet for the industry. So I'm looking forward to, making sure that we are putting you on the map, like I said before.
thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Washington, he asked one of the questions that I was going to ask, but how much are you going to push the city of Gardena, or are you going to promote the city of Gardena for the, for them to come and, film in the city?
We've, like I said, we've been actively already promoting you. Anything that's entertainment related that comes into town and actually out of town, we're at. And so part of the promotion is talking about all the cities and all the things that they offer. And I think for us, because you've gone, the city in particular has gone out of its way to be very film friendly by changing your policies. That in itself is very appealing to the industry. I mean, unfortunately, in the city of Los Angeles, there's a lot of location burnout. And so when they're calling and saying, do you have any casinos? Do you have a hospital? Do you have this? We're going to offer up Gardena as one of those possibilities because there is no location burnout here. Not to say that we're going to try to burn you out. We want to definitely have it done in a way that it's done. We want industry to film here and be professional. We want them to be mindful, and we want them to treat the area like guests. And so we're going to make sure that that's being done.
All right. And my last question is, I see your map over here,
Yes.
LA County.
Yes.
And I see a few cities that are in brown.
Right. Those are the only areas that are not covered by us. Yes.
So they're not one of your,
Even though they're not a partner, we actually work with those cities in offering suggestions on how to be film friendly. And so, for instance, I think you'll see on there San Fernando, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach. There might be a few other ones that we haven't reached out to, but I think for almost all the Southern California cities, we've had conversations. So even though we haven't been partners, we are a resource to them, and we offer suggestions on how they can attract more production if they want to do so.
okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm sorry, who had a question next? Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Medina?
With regards to some of the questions that they were asking, the long and short of it all is location, location,
It
location.
is location.
And people don't realize how much gray hair you can get getting the permits and the licensing and the location. And one of the things that I'm very proud of is that when Miami Vice first came out, they did all the shots in Miami, and all the filming was done at the Normandy Casino.
Right.
So it's we're very fortunate we have two casinos rather than one.
Right.
And we're very versatile, and I'm really happy and proud that you're going to join the city in the process of doing that, because it relieves a lot of pressure with the planning and permits and insurance and thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for having us.
Okay, hold on. Any more questions? Okay, I have a couple of questions here. First off, I just like the name, the city that's most film friendly. I think that's a catchy title that we're definitely going to stick to. Beautiful, film friendly, all of it. I like it. So, but a couple of questions I have, and that's in regards to, and I don't know, maybe staff might need to answer that. This is a 2-year contract starting off. Is that my understanding there? What I read down, I think it's on the 3rd page. Is that 2 years? And then we will decide to extend it, or is there like an automatic extension? How does that go?
Mayor Sherda, this is for a 3-year contract.
It's a 3-year contract. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And it starts October 1st, 2019, and it ends September 30th, 2022.
Okay. And then the next question I have is, I noticed, and part of the agreement here, as far as notification. So how are you I noticed where you say you notify businesses and residents as far as if there's going to be any type of disruption. How do you notify them? Is it by mail or by phone calls, or is there some kind of on a city website? Because I was curious as to how that's done.
Sure. We have approximately 40 people. We call them field services folks.
Okay.
And they actually hand deliver notification. I wish I actually brought a copy. I think the last time I was here, I left a sample of it. But they hand deliver notification to residents and businesses within, I believe it's 300 feet of location and 200 feet of the parking. It's a 500-foot radius total. The radius gets bigger based on the activities. So if they're going to do something exceptional, if they're doing special effects, things that are louder, if they're having lighting at night, the radius gets bigger.
Okay.
Based on impact.
Okay.
And so it's done usually within 48 hours of the filming, and the reason why it's 48 hours is if you work with production, things change at the
Right.
last minute. Usually up to 48 hours, they know what they're doing, so we usually get that notice out within 48 hours.
Okay.
And it has our information besides the information from the production company.
Okay. And this question is also kind of related to staff as well. So you will notify the city once, of course, I know they'll know something's going on, but notify the city exactly what street it's going to entail. In turn, the city will notify us. And the reason why I'm asking is I notice a lot of times when there's construction going on in certain areas, we get a memo of that. And a lot of times residents call us if there's something happening. So we will be notified as well if there's like any type of, noticing of that as well?
That's
We get-
correct, Mayor Serta. We'll be responsible for notifying you as well.
Okay, that'll be great. And then the last question I have is, let's just say a company, I don't know, let's just say a company doesn't know that we're working with Film LA and they come to the city of Gardena for some information. Will we refer them over to you guys? You're in an off-site location, and if somebody has to pay their fees, will they be able to pay them here in the city? Will they have to go to your location?
We're handling everything for you, and so we suggest that you refer them to us for any information, whether they're just gathering information about filming in the city.
Okay.
Or have specific questions, we'll answer those for you. If we don't have the answer, obviously, we'll be calling staff to get that information for them.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the intent is to make the jobs of your staff much easier and lighter. We're going to do all the legwork for you.
Got it. So where's your location at as far as if our person needs to go there? When I say our person, the person who wants to film here, if they have to go to you, where are you guys located?
We're actually in Hollywood, but they don't have to come to us. They can actually apply online.
Oh, okay.
We're web-based, so if you have a smartphone, you can apply on your phone.
Okay.
You go through our website. If you don't have an account, you sign up for an account, and immediately you can apply for your permit at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want to.
Okay.
Immediately, well, we're not there, but when we get in the office at 8 o'clock, we'll assign it to a coordinator. We have an on-call person 24/7, so if there is emergency or questions, they can call the on-call person and get those questions answered right away.
Okay. And that information is also on those notices that go out to the
Yes,
community as well?
it is.
I noticed further down in the contract here, it said like within 15 minutes, if somebody notices, if there's noise or some type of disruption, how quickly, within 15 minutes, you guys will get back. And I think that's great.
What that happens is they could call our main line.
Okay.
And it prompts them to hit 2 and goes right to an on-call person.
I think that's
Who works
awesome.
and actually the on-call person is one of our coordinators who coordinates permits.
Okay.
And so they have all the information at their fingertips and can get a hold of the right people and answer questions.
Okay, very good. All right.
What's that? Oh, okay. We'll work on that for you. We'll connect you to one of the reality shows upcoming, okay?
Okay, with that, are there any other questions we have? Mr. Manager, would you like to add something else?
Yes, Mayor Serta, I just want to address the revenue portion of this. So Film LA will be handling all of the permitting, the permitting process. They're also going to be collecting all of the fees for the film permits. The city will invoice them on a monthly basis, and Film LA would then remit to us within 60 days of noticing. So it's a very smooth and easy process, and we look forward to this partnership.
So make sure you understand, we're not charging the city anything. You get all our
Correct.
services for free.
Correct, yeah, no cost to the city. We like that.
Absolutely.
We like that a lot. Okay, so with that, can I get a motion to award the contract to Film LA?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, thank you very
so much for your support.
Thank you. Okay, next up is item number 8G1. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Serta and members of the City Council, Agenda Item 8G1 is a request for approval for G-Trans revised proposed 2020 service changes. We also have Director Crespo here this evening to provide a short presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm here to present item 8G1. And like my boss said, I have a short presentation for you. Briefly, we're going to start over. I'm going to cover a G-Trans overview, a little bit about our service, the outreach we did for our service changes, what our service changes proposal was, and comments we received from the public, and then ultimately our final recommendations for your approval. A little bit about our service. Founded in 1940, we operate 5 lines, carry about 3.1 million passengers, have 54 buses, 6 electric, and 48 gasoline electric, soon to be replaced with more CNG buses. In 2017, we embarked and conducted a study and hired the firm Stantec. Stantec's goals were very specific. We asked them to give us an honest assessment about our service, what we do well, what we need to improve on, a plan to help us correct those shortfallings, and then also give us the systematic phased implementation approach so we can do this in phases. The analysis was completed in 2018. So as part of, in accordance with our G-Trans Council adopted major service change policy and public participation plan, I wanted to make sure I get that right, we started outreach for our service changes in July through September. The outreach was in both English and Spanish, brochures on board buses. Staff rode 53 of those bus trips that were identified to potentially be canceled. So we talked to the actual people who were on the buses. Website information was available in multiple languages. And also we had multiple methods that we created for voice, phones, emails, different ways for people to talk to us, and of course, social media. And we conducted 3 community meetings and 1 public hearing. The community meetings, we had 3 of those, and we also did a thing called pop-ups, where we really, instead of waiting for everybody to come to us, we go out to the streets and talk to people at intersections, at bus stops, major locations, as listed on here, and talk to the people about changes. And then the official public hearing was conducted on September 12th here in the council chambers. Overall, we had about 80 people attend the public meetings and outreach. We received about 50 comments from the meetings, and we received 40 comments via email. A little bit of overview on our service. So line 1X goes from Redondo Beach all the way to downtown LA. It is our least productive service, carrying about 650 riders a day. Our cost per boarding, which is an important number, is $11.97 for this service. To give you a perspective, one of the most productive lines of let's say, LA Metro on Wilshire Corridor or the Vermont Corridor are in the $1.75, $1.78 cost per boarding. Our original proposal was to eliminate 9 trips, round trips, during the midday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3:40. Pretty much, we would continue to operate during the peak in the morning and peak in the afternoon. The elimination would be a reduction of 2,300 service hours and generate a cost savings of approximately $348,000. Roughly 104 people would be impacted who are on those 9 trips per day. Part of the outreach, we received 13 comments specifically about the Line 1X. These are summarized here. Our riders are concerned, they really can't get home at earlier times. Students attending LA Trade Tech Also said that off-peak times were not going to be available. We had a couple Little Tokyo senior shoppers who rely on transit during the midday. And then we also had some Gardena one-stop employees concerned for their reentry clients, assessing their services during the midday. So after considering all the feedback we received and comments, we've made some adjustments to our original proposal. We're recommending to only eliminate 6 round trips instead of the original 9. Those trips are listed in green in the middle. In essence, we would start service back up a little bit earlier, around 2, 3 o'clock again. Where originally we were going to not start till like 4. So the service reduction now is going to only eliminate 1,500 service hours, still generate a cost savings of about $232,000, and we believe roughly 63 people will be impacted. Line 2 is our most productive line. This carries 6,000 riders a day, and our subsidy cost is approximately $4.07 per boarding. So it's a lot more efficient service. Our original proposal, this is actually a service enhancement. We're actually trying to make it better service. So by adding a little bit more time to the line to make it more efficient during the peak periods. Peak is going to be in the afternoon, roughly 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it's rush hour. Because this is an add of service, we're adding around 1,000 service hours a year, and this is an increase to our cost of about $161,000. No comments were received on line 2 regarding our outreach. So just to recap line 2, we're going to add about 3 to 8 minutes per trip in the afternoon to help deal with the traffic impacts. So if it normally was taking an hour and 30 minutes and that wasn't working, now they'll have an hour and 38 minutes. Those 8 minutes start making a difference so buses don't bunch up. This is an added 1,000 service hours, and it's, again, a cost of approximately $161,000 back into our cost to ride the service. Line 3 operates from the South Bay Galleria to Compton Blue Line Station. Overall, it's our second busiest line, carrying about 30 riders per hour. Our cost per boarding is about $4.81, close to our line 2. Our original proposal for line 3 is in 2 parts. I'm going to cover the first one now. Our original proposal was just to modify service on the weekends. So instead of ending service at 7 p.m., which is still kind of early on a Saturday, Sunday, pushing it back to around 9 o'clock. Better aligned with the South Bay Galleria. That's an added increase in cost. We're adding 229 service hours, and that's about a $34,000 increase to our budget for this. Overall, we received 1 comment, and this was from a patron that just said, hey, go keep the line till 10, better aligned with the South Bay Galleria. They must be shoppers or workers. At this point, we have not changed our proposal for this section of line 3, so we are recommending to add the change to better adapt on the weekends. That's going to be a cost of about $34,000. Another portion of the line 3 that we operate what we call is Bishop Montgomery High School Tripper service. And typically, Tripper service is used when you have overloads or heavy volume of riders along a corridor of a line. So for example, we use Tripper service a lot at Gardena High and Narbonne, because if we didn't, those lines would ultimately be overflooding and we'd be leaving our regular passengers along the line. That's how Tripper service has been defined to operate. Bishop service is a little bit different. We've been operating this service, at least historically that we are aware of, since the mid-1970s in some form or fashion. Currently, the way we operate it, we have 1 bus assignment that goes to Bishop in the morning, takes some students, and then on the return, takes students from the school. Ridership counts as of last month, August, on average, show about 40 students ride this service leaving the school, so this is in the afternoon, and about 17, again on average, are dropped off in the school in the morning. The cost to operate the service is about $34,000 for these 2 trips a year. Since Bishop has been operating under this format since 2011, so between 2011 and current 2019, G-Trans has spent about close to $400,000 to operate this service. We do know the service has been in existence since 1970, so that would be a lot more. The portion that you see on the map that's dotted is the portion that goes to Bishop Montgomery. Because of our reserved service guidelines that we have to operate as transit systems, during that portion of the service, we actually operate a closed door system. So meaning, once we leave the South Bay Galleria, we actually are not allowed to pick up people we just go straight to the school and drop off. So our original proposal called for canceling morning and afternoon service. We would propose doing this in August of 2020, really a whole school year away. This is a elimination of 231 service hours, generating a savings of about $34,000. Overall, public outreach generated about 61 comments regarding this service. Some of the summaries of these were: students will have a difficult time getting to school without the service. Cancellation will be a great hardship and inconvenience for students and parents. Some expressed willingness to pay higher fares. Appreciation for providing this service safely and reliably for decades. And then some of our attendants also disputed some of our ridership data that we had. Just as a footnote, as part of the outreach, we did reach out to Bishop Montgomery School and actually spoke to the principal, and they have offered approximately between $13,000 and $15,000 to help subsidize some of the cost. Based on our outreach and still overlooking at our overall proposals that you're seeing up here, we're still proposing to move forward with elimination of the service. Again, this would be a cost savings of about $34,000. Line 4 is our lowest performing route. This has 450 riders per day. In comparison to what I mentioned, the line 2 where it's carrying 6,000 a day. This is about a $6.73 cost per boarding. The portion under the red circle is the portion that we're proposing to eliminate, and that's the portion along Marine. We have duplication of service with our line 1X. So what we're proposing is that the line 4 end at El Camino College at Crenshaw, and then come back into the city. Again, the original proposal, no longer operate down Marine, that's going to be an elimination of about 1,300 service hours, and that's a savings for the system of about $208,000. We received 3 comments from the public. Some students used this service to get to El Camino College and losing their high. And then some of our customers just said, overall, service is a safe source for transportation for children. Based on our outreach, at this point, we're not recommending any changes to our original proposal. So we're recommending we move forward with the elimination of the Marine segment, eliminating 1,300 service hours, generating a cost of about $208,000. In summary, these are all the changes. Line 1X, eliminate the midday. That's a savings. Putting some of that savings back into line 2, our busiest line, to make it better. That's $161,000 cost. The line 3 adjustments for Saturdays is a cost of $34,000. The cancellation of Bishop is a $34,000 reduction, and then the elimination of line 4 is about a $208,000 savings. Overall, for this service change, a $280,000 savings. Our next steps, based on your recommendation and approvals, we would then move to make these changes in January, February, begin developing schedules, marketing material, all the published materials that everybody sees, inform the public, our employees, and then ultimately make the changes in January, February 2020, and then discontinue Bishop in June of 2020 after the school year. I'm here to answer any questions or...
Okay, let's go ahead and start with some questions here, and then we're going to open it up to the public comments here. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Crespo, if we go back to line 1X, If we try to eliminate the service hours between the hours, it was 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 3:40, 9 a.m. to 3:40, who's going to service that line? Who's going to take over?
So that's actually a great question. The Silver Line, Metro Silver Line, runs service almost like 7 to 10 minutes frequency along the 110 corridor, and also Torrance Line 4X, Line 4, sorry, operates during that period. So if anyone wants to ride, they can transfer from our lines to the Silver Line and get to downtown.
So if I'm going to ride to downtown LA from Van Ness and Marine, which is going to be eliminated from 9 a.m. to 4, where do I go? Which bus I have to catch to go to the Silver Line? So are all these things going to be explained to our residents or the passengers?
So the part that we're eliminating is only the portion, I don't think this pointer works, but it's really only the portion from the Rosecrans, the Harbor Freeway Station at Rosecrans,
Yes.
and to downtown. So the whole line, the way you see it, right there designed, is still going to operate midday. I'm sorry I didn't clarify that.
No,
The
no.
only portion that's
Yeah.
not going to downtown is from the Harbor Freeway Station to downtown. So the line is still operating, everything that you see in red, except
still-
the portion from on the freeway, is not
Okay.
going to downtown.
I see.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's
is a
okay,
very-
no problem.
That's a very important point.
Yes. And one more thing, going to Bishop Montgomery, it's costing us how much to operate that, to go to Bishop Montgomery?
34,000.
$35,000?
Roughly, yes, sir.
And they're offering us between 13 to 15,000 to support us with, so we're still going to lose money anyway, right?
Yes, I mean, we're still not subsidized the whole cost of the service.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Before we go to the next question, I forgot to mention to our pledgers, I know it's a school night. If you guys would like to leave, you guys are excused. So I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Councilmember Medina had the next question. Thank you.
With regards to the perfect timing, with regards to line 3 going to Bishop Montgomery, is there any way the bishop, or for that matter, the school district can provide the additional $20,000 to subsidize that? Because I'm sure it affects a lot of the students that go from Gardena to Bishop, which I know a lot of them do. And financially, it's granted they're only going to provide $15,000, but it leaves us $20,000 short. Is there any way we could subsidize that somehow?
I mean, I can't answer for the school, but I think we're definitely we were in conversations with the school. We haven't asked for additional funding after the last conversation, so they did offer up to 15,000. I don't know. I mean, we could definitely continue to communicate with the school and see if there's any additional funding from their part.
Because maybe because kids always have fundraisers, car washes and stuff like that. If the students are that concerned about getting the rides and make sure they're safe to get there, offer that opportunity and see if maybe they could raise some money on their own to add on to the 15,000 that they're offering, or maybe they'll offer more. It's something to discuss as far as a happy medium is concerned.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson, and then we're going to open it up for public comments, and you guys will still have time to ask more questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Crespo, in regards to, do we have a count of how many Gardena students are attending Bishop and using this line?
So
Roughly?
that's a very good point, Mr. Henderson. We do have some data I could share a little bit. Again, these are averages that we put together for today. We do know, this is the Bishop Tripper in the morning, where it starts around Vermont and Gardena Boulevard. That's in LA County, right? We know it starts the middle part of this slide here, where it says passenger load, just shows how many people are on the bus at any given point. So right off the bat, we start off with about 12. It starts picking up in LA. Some Gardena people get on around Redondo Beach, Vermont. But if you notice where it says Redondo Beach in Western, where it says a light, that trip, 23 of those people that got on in LA and Gardena are off, right? They transfer on Western because Western's our busiest corridor. You saw that, 6,000 riders, people are moving other places. So the parts in blue is what our best estimate of the students, what we believe that think it is. So it starts picking up a couple, you pick up 2 in Gardena, 1 more in Gardena, 2 more in Gardena. So you have a total of 6 roughly average in Gardena. Then it's another, you could say 8 or so start picking up in Torrance, El Camino, Lawndale, right? And so those are, again, and they all get off at Bishop. So we make the assumption that they're all students because they're kind of trickling on, getting on. And on the reverse, we do have data that shows that, you do have a good boarding in the afternoon, all of them. So more people ride our service leaving the school than in the morning going to school. And then by Crenshaw Boulevard, roughly there, they're all off. And then the line continues.
Madam Mayor, so
Go ahead.
my follow-up to that, and it costs us $35K to run that in the negative, correct? Because we don't make anything from that, right?
That's correct. Our fares, for students is really low, on average in the region, but it doesn't make up at 70 cents a boarding. That's not going to cost, be cost. It's not going to capture the $35,000.
Go ahead.
Now my head's going with this. So in the discussions with the Bishop administration and their leadership, is there the possibility that if the line remains, that then that becomes part of the attraction of being a student in the South Bay attending Bishop Montgomery, but then that also, it has to come with some sort of price tag to it, because even with 15,000, we're still in the hole. And this is a pretty expensive line. So if they're willing to go up on fares and maybe raise that contribution, maybe we can have those discussions, because now it becomes a part of their school process of, hey, also we have a partnership with Gardena, but then that also kind of costs a little bit of money, because it seems to me that although there's that qualitative benefit, when it comes down to dollars and cents, it's really hard to maintain that portion of the line. So is it possible, are they willing just to have further discussions on this?
I mean, we can definitely continue the dialogue and see if there's additional revenue sources that they can find.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we do have several speakers here, so we're going to go ahead and bring them up. First one is Kimberly Mason, and the next one is Maria Esquita.
Good evening. I think it's fitting that I am the first, although I didn't want to be the first, because my question is,
Ma'am, if you could talk into the mic, we appreciate it. Thank you. It's just being recorded.
My question is not about the money. My question to the G-Trans bus line is that why would you even propose to terminate a bus line service for a group of students who are making an effort to get their education? Some of these kids get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, just to get to the bus stop by 7, so that they can be at school, they can be at Bishop by 8 o'clock, and so that they can secure a education. And I just think that it's heartless for you to even make the proposal to not support children in our community, whether they're right here in Gardena or surrounding areas. These are kids who are trying to go to school, right? They're trying to get their education so that they can contribute to our society in a positive way. And I just think, again, it's heartless for any of you all to even consider. $35,000 is really a drop in the bucket, okay? The money should not even be an issue. It really shouldn't. But that's what I would like to say.
Okay, thank you. Next is Maria Esquita, and then Lyle Knight. Is that Maria Esquita?
She's opted not to speak after all.
Okay, that's fine. Next is Lyle Knight, and then Carolyn Torres.
Good evening, City Council, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I am a 1X writer. I have been for the last 10 to 11 years. And the 1X to me is a fine line. I love Gardena bus lines or G-Trans. I've never had an issue with them. But the previous director, when he was here, I think he decimated that line. That line had a lot of people. It was full. And when he made changes, that's when it started going downhill and people started leaving the line, either driving into downtown or taking other measures. I know that they talk about duplicate services with Torrance Bus and the Silver Line. And that's the thing I keep hearing, Silver Line, Silver Line. I want them to represent Gardena. That's who they're here and hired and paid by, is Gardena. I'm not interested in hearing about the Silver Line. I'm aware of the Silver Line. I'm born and raised in Gardena and want to continue taking the 1X. I know Councilmember Medina is a 1X rider. So I believe he can understand the constraints that are pushed on the line. I know that they mentioned that they're going to modify the line to not 340 anymore. I forget what the service hours are. But the thing is that almost every 2 to 3 years, this line is being decimated. I was here a couple years ago speaking about the 1X. And the City Council went ahead and moved those changes, and I'm hoping that you can reconsider or at least make it favorable for the people here who take the 1X. Again, I like everything about G-Trans. With regards to the brochures, I didn't know anything about these particular meetings and pop-ups until one of the representatives who rode the bus and actually handed me a brochure and advised that on this particular day we're going to be having pop-up meetings with proposed line changes. So I think those probably could have been a little bit more obvious, for lack of better words. Other than that, with regards to the Line 1X, I hope that it can be a steady schedule that's consistent, that people can know that it's going to be running at certain times, and not another 2 years, there's another proposed changes. And with regards to the Bishop Montgomery, my daughter went to Bishop Montgomery years ago. That was a lifesaver for our family. I agree with the other lady said, to get rid of that line is really tough on people who get up early to try to get their kids to school in a timely fashion and a timely manner. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn Torres, and then Solid Habila. Okay, sorry.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Carolyn Torres, and I actually don't live in the city of Gardena. My sister does. We've actually been residents of South Bay since we were children. I myself was not able to go to Bishop, but I am here to try to keep the line going. I attended the last meeting that the G-Trans held at City Hall in Hawthorne Memorial Center. And I was concerned with some of the findings that they had for us as far as how they didn't know how long this line had actually been taking place. We had to inform them that it had been running since 1975, which they didn't know. They also didn't know that that the assessments that they made were skewed, because many of the students that do go in the morning have to stand, because other students are also there taking the place from the line that coming from Redondo Beach to Bishop. In the afternoon, most of the kids are also standing, meaning it's a full bus. So I want to say that these numbers that have been taken from 2017 are not accurate. Also, something else I'd like to point out is that us as parents, we rely on the safety and the necessity of taking our kids to a good school that we pay. We sacrifice a lot of our money. And it just seemed at the time that because they're Bishop students, they weren't being considered like students that need to be actually taken in account for the bus line. You know, so if you're not a Gardena student or you're not a Gardena resident, we're probably pretty much going to delete the line. That's pretty much what was told to us what I understood in the meeting, that we would see, we don't know yet, but it seems like they've made up their mind, and they're asking for each one of you to vote yes on something like that, that would impact detrimentally to our children, to our students. I did speak briefly to the principal that day, and she said that this topic had come up once before, about 7 to 10 years ago? 7 to 10 years ago, and that it was done with and they continued the service. So I don't understand why all of a sudden -19 would be the number, that it would be a loss since if Bishop gives 15. And going to one of the comments, I think me as a parent would be willing to do a fundraiser to try to promote that money more. You know, we're more than willing to do what we can of our part if need be, whether it's car washes. I personally do caramel apple sales for the school, both my younger child's school, and I would do it for Bishop as well. So I would like you to each reconsider and see how sensitive and important this issue is to us, the parents, and the children, because they do need it. That's all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, next is, so, thank you. And then after that is Sunny Jewett. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. My name is Sohail. Hello, I've been taking the bus for 19 years. We are here because, actually, I can say dismantling the bus started on the previous manager, who was here, his name was Jack Gabbig. He actually changed a lot of routes. He came up with ideas that's kind of useless. After his claim, 11 months of studies with 2 consultants, he started doing the changes. The first 3 weeks of the implementing of his own changes, he's changed it. 6 months down the road, he changed again. He came to this council 5 times. The council voted on it, unfortunately, 5 times. The only one who saved line 1, and that's existing now to downtown, is Councilman Dan Medina. He saved that line, and now we're back to the same square back. How can we dismantle things and put things, because it was not broken, we broke it. The sad truth is, yes, you lost ridership. Why? You have 5 changes happen in the city council here. The other 3 would happen at the transportation department. And I used to be on the bus where the driver would pick up the phone and ask the manager, what do I do now? Do I go up on El Segundo or make a turn and go back to Rosecrans, take the freeway? That's the joke. And I want to go back to waste. Last waste, when we had consultants, after bringing the consultants in, changing routes, changing schedules, and then after 3 years of those changes, we do what? We go paint the buses green and gray. There was nothing wrong with the paint on the bus. They were fine. We tried to compete with Santa Monica. That's what his plan wanted. And then a year ago, we had a meeting with the new manager, and they came up with an idea of changing signs. I said, no, forget the signs. People want the buses to go, get their places, get to where they need to get to, leave the signs alone. How much money wasted on that? Nobody's going to talk about it. How much money wasted on the paint? Nobody's going to talk about it. And another thing, Silver Line doesn't take you down to 16 and Main and down San Pedro. Silver Line takes you all the way up Pershing Square and go up there. Imagine any of you, I'm telling you, I've seen it all. Go down on Pershing Square, all the way down to First and San Pedro, if you're not being followed by somebody who's crazy. You talk about downtown, you can see the homeless in downtown. It's a huge issue. And by the way, we're not the only city. If we are losing money, we're not the only city losing money. They fly away losing money every day, every week, and they tell you we're keeping it for 2 things, for pollution and traffic. We want to cut on that. City of Los Angeles is losing money. You're not the only city losing money. You have to look and be creative. And I kept that to them and said, guys, you have to be creative. We cannot come up with something where we lost our budget from Metro. That's why we're going to cut the service. So we got the grants from Metro, my understanding. That's why we're cutting the line 1X. Why do we look for another grant?
Just keep going.
Thank
You
you.
can keep going. You're okay. Okay. Next, I'm sorry, the last speaker is Irish Twaning? 20. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I read that wrong? Sunny, I'm sorry, Sunny Jewett.
Actually, Sonia.
Sonia, I'm
Sonia.
sorry.
But you can call me Sunny. Good evening. My name is Sonia, and I am a proud mother of a sophomore and a junior at Bishop Montgomery High School. Initially, back in the 9th grade, I hesitated to send my son on public transportation because I thought, you know, back in my days, and I won't date myself here, but we rode the rough, tough, and dangerous, the RTD, not the G-Trans. But I fell in love with the G-Trans. I thought it was safe. You know, they took my kid directly after the last stop at South Bay Galleria. They would then transport my children directly to Bishop, which I thought was just the most wonderful thing possible, thinking I'm only paying 70 cents and my kid is getting a ride all the way to Bishop. Well, you know, I live in the city of Inglewood, but my kids go to school in Torrance, and the bus line was like a halfway for me. It allowed me to, you know, to work and do other things and have my kids transported by the G-Trans. I find the results from his data, or as far as low ridership, appalling. My children are the last bus stop that before the South Bay Galleria, and it's standing room only. My kids wish that I could take them, maybe drop them off on Crenshaw or Vermont where they can get a seat, but by the time they get to the very last bus stop before the Galleria, it's standing room only. So for him to say that there's only like 17, 20 riders on that bus, that's ridiculous. My son comes home and says, Mom, there was a gentleman on the bus and he was just counting people. Or there was a person on the bus and they were just taking photos. So I don't know what data, if that was old data or if are they referencing the new data, because I just find that incorrect. And there's several Bishop parents here in the audience who just can't believe the statistics that they came about. They did have community meetings. They allegedly had, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they're advertising, passing out brochures. I didn't become aware of it until the second meeting, which was at the Memorial Center in Hawthorne. I attended that meeting. And I was a little disappointed with the representation there, who officially stated that the day tripper was not an established line. If this line has been running since 1970, 75, how many years does it take for it to become an established line? I mean, 25, 30 years and it's still not an established line? So for them to use that, or that they're not being federally compliant, or that they're deviating outside the Gardena district, then we know for a fact that they have another bus that runs right past Norbonne High School. I don't know the line specifically. It doesn't stop at Norbonne, but enough to transport kids to the Norbonne High School. So this is a service that you're doing to the community. It's not just about revenue, it's also about giving back to future constituents of the city of Gardena. Some kids live in Gardena, some kids live in the surrounding areas of the South Bay. I myself, I live in Inglewood. I don't even know if that's considered South Bay. It could be just the LAX area. But yet, you know, I choose to send my kids this way, and I love your bus line. I would be saddened by the fact that if you continued the bus line. Yes, they had a meeting with our principal. We were clueless to the 15,000 that Dr. Garza, our principal, has agreed to assist. You know, there's never been any other communication with the parents. We were told that we can make comments. We wrote up pieces of paper and at the meeting, submitted our comments. They told us that we can email. The email system was broken. You couldn't leave any more comments on the email, so there are a total of 61 comments. I'm sure there was 160 comments that could have been left, but the email system wasn't taking any more comments. It just seems unfair that today you're going to get the opportunity to say yay or nay. We discontinue the line, or we continue the line. They've never given us an opportunity to fundraise or even consider the fact that we fundraise. We're pretty smart parents. We know a lot of people. We can do some fundraising to help offset the cost. He's stating the fact that line one is, you know, they're going to increase the bus lines and increase the revenue. Would that offset our day tripper bus line? I mean, it's 34,000 compared to whatever he's comparing the line 1X or whatever, adding the extra buses. It just seems that we should try a little harder to find some type of solution. It's not just about revenue. It's about giving back to the community. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Irish Twining. Tywing? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just butchering all the names.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'd just like to say that I am a Gardena resident. I've all my life, born and raised here, and I am in support of keeping the Bishop Tripper service. And the Bishop Tripper service, it has been in service for decades, My sisters took it in the late 80s and the early 90s. I took it in the mid 90s, and now my daughter is a sophomore at Bishop and is currently taking the bus. I just want to emphasize, just like in the invocation that was read earlier at the start of the meeting, that we are a community of faith. We are a community, and we service and support each other. This bus service has supported not only our Gardena residents, but I know other students who come from LA to catch the Gardena bus, from Lawndale and from Carson, just to take the Gardena bus to bring them to Bishop. If this Tripper service were to be canceled, I know it would create a big hardship on not just me, but a lot of the parents here who are supporting this. And it's something that we rely heavily on. We really, really rely heavily on. I would say that I am definitely open to fundraising, like Councilmember Medina said, or any other type of option, even raising the fares. My husband would be okay with raising the 70 cents to a little bit more, as long as it's affordable. But to just cancel and eliminate the service completely, I think it would create a big hardship and leave our students stranded. And that's not something that I don't think the city would want for the residents. And I remember when I started taking the bus back then, it was still the Gardena Municipal Bus Lines. And not only, it wasn't just this route, but it was, at that time, it was closed to the entire public. It was just specifically for the Bishop students. And it started, it served the Gardena Christian Valley School, St. Anthony of Padua, and then St. Catherine, and then the poor St. Catherine kids, by the time we got to them, they always had to stand. They always had to stand, and they never had a seat on the bus. But the bus is always full. My daughter would tell me that there's someone counting today, Mommy, or tell me, she'll say that, no, I'm standing again, and they're taking a head count. And even when I was a student taking the bus, we knew our bus driver, and I remember her name was Kim. So even our students now have a connection with their bus driver, and they know their bus driver. And it's a service that they can rely on, and our community students can rely on. So I strongly urge you to please reconsider and keep this bus line, this Tripper service open. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So before we open it back up to questions from the council, I have a question. By any chance, is the principal from Bishop here? Or anybody from the administrative staff here from Bishop? The answer is no. Okay, so no representative from Bishop is here. Got it. Okay. Let me ask Mr. Crespo, come to the, if you don't mind, to the front. I have a question here. What determines when a line is permanent? I mean, what's the difference between a day tripper and when it becomes permanent? Can you tell me the difference?
So a little bit of history again on tripper service. They're typically used to help with the overloads on a line.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, Gardena High may have 80, 90, 100, 200 kids come out when the bell rings. If they all walked out, our two line would get even more delays. So we put a tripper bus, which is that's what it is, to be there to help with the students and then operate along the line. So it's the service. I mean, I think the way it was presented, our intention was not to say that it's never been a permanent system. We know it's been, it just was operated in a different format, right?
Okay.
Like the lady mentioned, it used to be a commuter 4 and 5. I mean, 5 and 6 was a different, and it meandered through the neighborhoods and served different schools. As an FTA regulated property, you know, we are very careful to make sure that we don't violate school bus regulations. We're not allowed to look like a school bus.
Okay.
Right? That's because we're federally funded. So
Right.
that's part of, I can't attest to how it was designed, you know, 20 years ago.
Okay.
I can only give you the information I know how we operate it now, right, which is
Okay.
an extension.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll open up. One other thing. So a day tripper, is that closed to the public?
No, so our tripper service have to be open to all public. I mean, that would be, if we closed it, we would definitely be in violation of, because it would look like a school bus. So it
Oh,
has
so
to be.
that determines the difference there as well, too.
Open, fully accessible to the public. You can't treat it customized to a certain group. It's open door service.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, how recent, the numbers, the information that you guys are providing, these numbers here, because I heard numbers from 2017, I heard from today, and then I heard people counting today. And so,
Yeah.
so how recent is all this information?
So these numbers here you have is from our new automatic passenger counters that we've installed on the buses, and these were based on August. Again, these are about between these and our consultants who did one full sample of the entire system. We have
Okay.
about 5 samples that you kind of average, because each one is never the same.
Okay. So none of this information is from 2017 or 2018. This is all
I mean,
19?
these here specifically are from August of 2019.
Okay.
Yes, do we have data from other studies that we've done? You know, again, it's different every day.
Okay. Okay. I have one question for the city manager, then I'm open up to everybody else. Mr. City Manager, you may know the answer to this. Bishop Montgomery, is it a private school, charter school, public school?
It is a private school.
Private school. Okay. Okay, private school. Okay, let me open it up to the other council members. Who had a question first? Mayor Pro Tem, and then?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Crespo, at this time, we have the students pay 70 cents per ride from point A all the way to Bishop Montgomery for a ride.
That is correct, sir.
What's the chances if we raise the fares, and do you think that will offset a little bit, helps to keep the lines running, plus the 13 to 15,000, the contribution that the administration is offering us?
Well, I mean, any additional revenue helps. That's, I think, first off, raising the fares would trigger our fare policy, our fare
Yes.
outreach policy that we have as well. So we would have to go out to the community and do our fare analysis on how that impact of raising the fare is going to impact our riders and also the community before. And then we would come in front of you again with our findings for your board council approval.
You know, because I feel the parents over here that, you know, they're trusting us to transport their children safely from bus station to the school, because they might, going to work, they don't have the time, or it's, any reason that might be possible. Can we go ahead and reconsider this line, specifically, and see, what else we can do before we make any decisions that if we have to be, canceled or the hours has to be changed? Can we go ahead and reconsider it?
Well, it's up to the council. I mean, I don't think it's to Mr. Crespo.
No,
That is
for him
something-
to do the study, I'm saying, it's not
do
like.
more research?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we can't ask the staff to come back at a later time to do more research. I don't know, maybe if there's something the principal, maybe the principal
Yeah.
wants to pay, or their school wants to pay 30,000 to the city or something. I don't know, then that offsets it. I don't know, but that might be something,
Yeah.
if the council
That's-
wants to
I mean,
make a suggestion.
Anything we can consider helping the residents and plus the students, I mean, at the most, that's right. One of the ladies said that I want my, the daughter or son to go to school, and this is going to affect them. We have to consider this. So, I don't know, maybe we can do other analysis and see how we can get the money from, and I don't know, if we can work things out.
That's an
I'm not-
option.
yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
option. Councilmember, who's the, Medina, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't see this as a black and white thing. From what I've gathered, the parents are willing to do a fundraiser. And the kids, I'm sure, are willing to raise the ante from 70 cents to maybe $1 or $1.25. The point is that most of the G-Trans fares are cheaper than anybody else around the South Bay. I take the Silver Line every so often. It's $2.40 to go to downtown. I'll take the G-Trans, and it's only $2. So on the premise that the parents are willing to do a fundraiser, and on the premise that the kids might want to sacrifice that extra 30 cents or 50 cents, can you sit down with the principal and negotiate them maybe picking up the ante from 15,000 to maybe 20,000? Because the whole goal of what we want to do here is to provide for the children and provide for the community. And if we can have a good conversation to have that happy medium and reach those 34,000, granted, some people say it's a drop in the bucket, but the bucket's pretty narrow. And we're trying to watch all the finances to get this service for the children. And if the parents are willing to do fundraisers and the kids are willing to pay a little extra money, and the principal is willing to negotiate with us and maybe up the ante to 20,000, that might come to a happy medium where everybody's happy. My whole thought is, it's not the problem, it's the solution. And I think if you negotiate with the principal and have another meeting with the parents, there'll be a happy medium where everybody's going to be satisfied. Thank you.
Let me ask a question before we go to you. I have a question. If we were to charge the students more on this route, will we have to do that for all the routes? I mean, can you have one route that it's a whole separate fee, or is that even feasible?
So what it would impact all our student fares, right? So it would be our fare across the board. All students would get
That's what I
treated
thought.
equally.
Okay.
Right? Regardless of Gardena High or Narbonne High or whatever, it's the same. There are cases where you can work a partnership with the schools or universities or colleges where we do some kind of MOU with them, and they create some kind of subsidy for that line for us to continue to work on, right? So, for example, if they said, hey, here is $30,000 or what number we can agree on, and that would help offset the cost for that line, then we would have a MOU with Bishop. And the student still would pay 70 cents, but the line is somewhat subsidized and we have a commitment to operate it because we're in an MOU with them.
Because that's where it seems like the conversation really needs to be with the administrative staff at Bishop here, because this has been operated for so many years at the cost of the city, regardless of whether it was a Gardena resident or Lawndale, whomever, we've been paying for the fee. So, I mean, in essence, the students have been transported there, for the school, virtually free. They've never taken on this cost there before. So, Councilmember Henderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm on multiple sides of this issue. I can say G-Trans has been very important in the lives of all the Hendersons. I rode the number 2 down to Narbonne as an adult. I've ridden the number 1 downtown. As a parent, my children have called it to Perry as well as Gardena High School. As a brother, my sister actually caught this tripper to Bishop Montgomery, so she's an alumni to Bishop Montgomery. So I'm thinking about what that benefit has to the parents. As a business person, losing money is a tough enterprise. As a council person, like all the rest of my colleagues, that we are community-centric, and we would definitely want to serve our community. We realize we don't want to cut services, but what I think we have on our side, because the changes don't go into effect until the end of the school year for this line. I think this will be an opportunity, because we don't have to make a decision this evening. We bring everybody back to the table, because I share the same concerns that the mayor had. There's nobody from Bishop Montgomery administration here to kind of discuss that. I think on Gardena's side, we've kind of made it a de facto standard since the bicentennial year that line is in existence. So none of us were part of that decision, but it's something that we kind of inherited, but we can kind of make it better. So I would make a motion that we don't make a decision on this tonight, and we just wait until there's further analysis. But Bishop administration should be in the room with our department chair and mayor, if possible, to make sure that we can come to, because it sounds like the parents are willing to fundraise. The school could probably ante up. We're making some savings from the other lines. so we can narrow that gap as close as we can get, and the students are also willing to pay an additional fare, so I think we can get there. But because we're not necessarily under the gun tonight, we still got the whole school year. I think we got some time to kind of do some further analysis. So my motion would be for Madam City Clerk is to execute further analysis before we make a decision this evening.
Okay. Before we finish going with that motion, Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just real quickly. So my daughter actually went to Bishop Montgomery for a while, and I think there was a few times that she actually caught that bus. But I'm of the same venue of we can't lose money. That's just bad business. But we can't throw our kids out on the street either. And so I know that Bishop's it's a private school. It's the parents have to give money every year or work there every year in order to subsidize part of the school. But I am in agreement that someone from the school needs to come here and speak with our bus lines, with G-Trans, so that we can actually work out something that's really feasible. I mean, if they're going to pony up $15,000, and the parents want to pay more, I think the school can actually come up with something that is workable, that an MOU could be drafted up, and that we could keep that line going for our kids. And I think it's important that the parents go back to the school and encourage them that, you know what, we don't want our kids not to come here. We don't want to lose the opportunity to send our kids to Bishop. So you need to help us, because we went to that meeting and we spoke our mind, but there was nobody here. So when you get back to Bishop, I think the Parents Association, you need to do something about that. And we're more than willing to try and help you accomplish something. Okay? Thanks.
Okay. I thank you. I think that was probably best said, because, like you said, we need to hear from the school as well and see how maybe they can make this work. So, Councilmember, I think maybe if I can word your motion a little bit differently there, maybe what we could do, lost my agenda here, is if we could maybe, we could make the recommendations for everything except for this particular line. This is a couple of options here. We can make the recommendations to move forward and approve with the exception of this particular line, and ask that staff come back, maybe once they've reached out to Bishop to see if maybe we can work out an MOU, or if we're not pushed up against time constraints, we can ask for this entire item to come back at a later time. Mr. City Manager, are there any time restraints on this here at this time?
Since the line's not slated to be canceled until next year, I think we have some time.
Okay.
To come back and bring this item, just this one item, after we've exhausted all avenues, working with the school, finding out additional possible revenues, sources of revenues. So we're going to look at everything before we come back.
So I guess my question is, would we like to make a motion excluding that one item regarding that line Bishop Montgomery, or would we like to just bring the whole thing back?
My recommendation is to exclude the one line.
Exclude the one line?
And if you would approve the other three.
Okay. So at this time, my recommendation will be to approve the changes to the bus line with the exception of bus line number 3. Is it 3X or 3? Just 3. We'll say 3. With the exception of line 3. For that matter to come back at a later time, I'm hoping within a month, 2 months. That should be a couple of months. Staff will bring it fairly quickly.
Yes, Mayor.
And we can go from there. Okay, so with that, that's my motion. I believe that's an adequate motion. Okay. Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by myself and second by Councilmember Medina. If you could call the roll, please.
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
and Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to item number 8G2. Thank you, Mr. Crespo. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item number 8G2 is a purchase of 3 paratransit vehicles from Creative Bus Sales for a total of $201,422.33 and a project total of $211,422.33. G-Trans operates a special transit service for senior citizens and customers with physical disabilities residing in the cities of Gardena, Hawthorne, and the unincorporated Los Angeles communities of Alondra Park, Del Air, and Hawthorne Island. This service currently utilizes 8 modified cutaway buses and minivans. G-Trans would like to replace 2 minivans that were purchased in 2011 and 1 cutaway bus that was purchased in 2003. The 2 Braun Enervan minivans will cost $51,789.30 each and can accommodate up to 2 wheelchairs. The Starcraft All-Star Cutaway Bus will cost $97,825.73 and includes 6 wheelchair positions and a wheelchair lift. G-Trans would also like to add an additional $10,000 as a contingency to accommodate any additional changes that are authorized and approved by G-Trans management. G-Trans is a member of the California Association for Coordinated Transportation, otherwise known as CalAct, and thus able to participate under an assignment clause with options authorized by CalAct, Morongo Basin Transit Authority under their joint procurement for accessible transit paratransit vehicles, contract number 15-03 from Creative Bus Sales. Staff recommends that Council authorize the purchase of the 3 paratransit vehicles from Creative Bus Sales for a total of $201,422.33 and not to exceed program total of $211,422.33, which includes a $10,000 contingency. There is no impact to the general fund. G-Trans has special capital funds available for the purchase of these vehicles. What's required is to approve the purchase.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I have a question here. So the minivan, I noticed most of the buses that we use for special transit are the Starcraft All-Star. Let me understand why that we need the smaller ones. I mean, are there different kind of special trips that are made, or?
So the smaller ones can just navigate. They're like little minivans. They can navigate neighborhoods and smaller areas. They're like a Dodge minivan.
Right.
And then our big one, the Starcraft, will accommodate the bigger trip. So that we use a lot for like the senior centers, maybe groups of 7, 8, 10 people. It can accommodate up to 6 wheelchairs. So we try to bulk the majority of people on the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
So these vans are exclusively for our paratransit service.
Okay.
They're not for our fixed route bus line service that we just covered up here. So this is a curb-to-curb service.
Right, but I guess maybe this is where I'm a little confused. The smaller minivan, I mean, does that cost more? I mean, what's different about that? Is it maybe if you don't have as many people for the bigger ones, is this more cost savings to use the smaller minivan? Is that my understanding, or? Because I'm looking at 2 different types here, the star one and then the little smaller mini one. Or maybe I just didn't understand you correctly.
Okay, no worries. So we're asking for permission to purchase 3.
Okay,
Right?
right.
1 big one, and then 2 small ones. Again, the small ones are really used for our smaller trips where you have 1 or 2 riders on them.
Okay,
So you don't
okay.
want to put necessarily
1 or
2
2
people on a big 18-passenger van.
Gotcha.
And realistically, the fuel economy probably on the bigger vans is just not as good as a little Dodge van. So it's a lot more compact than most of our riders use the smaller vans.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Let's start here, and then I'll go to you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What's the demand, Mr. Crespo, on these vans?
So on average, we carry about 12,000 riders a year. Okay, so the demands on any given hour are roughly about 3.5 riders per hour on this type of service.
On either one of the vans, the cutaway or the minivan?
Yeah, so mostly that's on average on our system, right? I think some trips we do get bigger loads. Sometimes we have up to double digits on the bigger vans because it's the senior going to the senior lunch, or when we had community meetings a year ago, we had like 40 of them of our seniors and come to our events, so we sent multiple vans. So it's usually for bigger loads.
So if somebody wants to request the van, they'll just call the G-Trans, they make an appointment, or is it similar to the Access? Is this, or?
It is similar, but Access is our regional ADA provider, right? This is more of a Gardena service that we provide for Gardena residents, Hawthorne residents, and Del Air, right? But you have certain qualifications. You have to have the right age, and you also have to have a disability. And so our city staff helps evaluate eligibility. So it's not open to anyone, right? You have to meet that criteria because it's really intended to get you to appointments, to stores, things that you really can't maybe do right that easily on our big bus service.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Real quickly, my mom used this service, and it was great when she was alive because they would pick her up and take her places. But, so these little minivans, is it strictly wheelchair, or is it going to be a multi-use?
So it's going to be it's exactly how our current vans are, just newer vans, right? So that it's multi-use. It can accommodate regular seated passengers who don't need wheelchairs, but it also has a wheelchair ramp. And that's what makes it a little bit more expensive than a regular Dodge van. It has to have a ramp so that you can load a wheelchair in a minivan.
Okay, that's
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve the purchase?
So moved.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8G3. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item number 8G3 is the request for approval for the agreement with Trapeze Software Group, DBA TripSpark Technologies for purchase of scheduling and operations management software and 5 years of maintenance support plus contingency for a total program cost not to exceed $1,394,652. And because of the technical nature of this software, I've asked Director Crespo and his staff to present a short presentation.
Another short presentation?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I am excited to be here with this item because this has been a work in progress for a while. So currently, G-Trans deployment of daily transit service highlights the complex nature of developing and scheduling the service, bidding, dispatching operator assignments, and providing accurate timekeeping functions. All these functions are currently performed by staff in a very, 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 very manual process using pen, paper, pencils, and multiple spreadsheets. So we run our operation with not much technology at the moment, leaving a lot of room for possible error. But I think on the positive side, we're also very successful at what we do because we're very detailed at it. So in an effort to minimize tedious manual processes, G-Trans issued a request for proposal for our scheduling, operations management, and payroll integration system in November of 2018. The RFP was issued through Planet Bids with notification to 163 vendors, including 16 DBEs, and downloaded by 29 vendors. With advertisement through dbegoodfaith.com, as well as other number of professional transit clearinghouses, G-Trans received 4 bids. Clever Devices, Enghouse Transportation, Init Transportation, and Trapeze Software, DBA as TripSpark. Following a lengthy evaluation and negotiation process, G-Trans is pleased to recommend TripSpark as the most responsive and responsible proposer. TripSpark will provide us with multiple capabilities, such as sign-in terminals for bus operators, ability for employees to check leave balances, submit time-off requests online and via their phone, enhanced employee attendance monitoring, online scheduling notification and selection of assignments from home, automated payroll integration. So one of the biggest key thing was that we made sure that we worked with the city so that instead of sending Excel sheets to payroll, this system will integrate with our city's payroll system. So really reducing less chance for error. But one of the main pieces that it will do is it provides a robust scheduling software so that we can create our bus assignments, costing scenarios, and public timetables, and much more. So all these service changes that you saw and that you approved today, we've been for the last years hiring third-party consultants to come back now and design the service and schedule it. Now we will have the ability to do it in-house. We have a recruitment out for a scheduler planner that looks very promising, and then ultimately we'd be able to modify our service demands a lot faster now that we have the software. And you know, with bus scheduling, it's not just the bus assignments, it's the public timetables, everything has to match. Employees have to get paid correctly, every minute counts. And so right now, if we make a change or you asked us to make an analysis, we're doing that over multiple weeks of just gathering data because we're doing it on pen and paper and Excel. So the base cost of the software, development, implementation, and training, and first year of maintenance and support and taxes is $798,987. The proposal included pricing for up to an additional 5 years of software maintenance warranties for an additional $468,879. G-Trans recommends that City Council approve the contract with TripSpark for a base cost of $798,987 and approve a 5-year maintenance warranty and support totaling up to $468,000, along with an additional 10% contingency for a not-to-exceed program amount of $1,394,652. There is no impact to the general fund, and this project has been planned for several years, so we will be using existing federal grants and local capital dollars to help fund this project.
Okay. Any questions or comments? And start here, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Crespo. In regards to the maintenance ongoing, after the 5th year, year 6, are we scheduling any depreciation expense so when it's time for system replacement, that money will be there, or is the ideology to just go get a new system at the full price, or are we going to save up for that system replacement? And also for TripSpark, can we ensure that as upgrades happen to the system, the interface to the payroll system also gets maintained? Because sometimes that gets dropped. But my first question in regards to the depreciation schedule.
So typically, we will hopefully plan to have TripSpark more than 5 years. So hopefully maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Most agencies don't just change the scheduling software because this is a big investment. So on the depreciation part, it probably will not be depreciated like that. But we do, when the time is right, we will start setting aside capital funding to help plan for the next upgrade. Or not upgrade, to the next purchase, if it ever happens, right? I mean, I can give you an example. In Santa Monica, we had TripSpark in 2005 when I worked there. They still have it, and they decided instead of going out with the new system this last year, they upgraded it to the current version instead of going out for a bid for a whole new system, right? Trapeze and another company called Hastis are pretty much the two big players of transit scheduling softwares in the country. So they're a legit company. On the maintenance fees, so your upgrades, kind of like every annual upgrades, the maintenance fees are covered. So if we decide to go to the newest version when they release it that year, as long as we're under maintenance contract, it's included. What everyone is a little bit hesitant, you never want to be the first one to jump into that upgrade, right? It's not like your iPhone where they just do it and you wake up and everything's moved. Here it's planned and tested because it's tied to payroll, and there's got to be a lot of testing and well thought out planning for it.
Go ahead.
So in regards to the software, has there been any indication from the vendor that they're going to move it from an on-premise solution to a cloud solution? And if those discussions are being had, are we then now talking to administrative services and IT in regards to what happens to that employee data? How do we secure that, so on and so forth?
Mr. Henderson, you must have an IT background.
I'm before they start.
But you're right on it. We actually, for the purpose of this, Trapeze does have a cloud solution. For the purpose of this solicitation, we're going to host it here. Our IT services, our IT department, as well as our payroll city department, has been along for the ride the whole time, reviewing the specs to make sure it complied with not just what G-Trans wants, but how it's going to tie into the city's network and how it's going to be supported by the city's servers, and then as well as how it's going to integrate with our payroll system. So they've been in the loop the whole way.
And I just wanted to kind of just share that part that sometimes vendors, we get the on-prem version, they're like, oh, we got to move to the cloud, and that's not always the best solution for some organizations because we don't think about the other impacts that has with our employee data, so.
Okay, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mayor Serter, members of the City Council, just to follow up on the depreciation schedule, as from an accounting perspective and standpoint, because G-Trans is an enterprise fund, they do use a full accrual basis, and we do depreciate assets, especially this expensive, probably, I think, in 7 years or something like that.
Okay, any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agreement with TripSpark?
So move.
Is there a-
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Next, we're going to move on to council directives. Does any member of the council have any directives at this time? Okay, Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to propose that we direct staff to draft an ordinance to establish specific development standards that are congruent to established standards for a citywide ordinance for abandoned properties or abandoned properties or vacant properties, whatever you call it. So they haven't drafted an ordinance for managing our vacant properties yet.
I thought we had.
That was the recommendation of staff, is to direct staff to do it. So we do have the abandoned property ordinance?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, the report that's contained in your memo packet has a study that we did with approximately seven cities. In that study, and recommendation is to direct staff to draft an ordinance. It's just a study and a survey that we did.
Okay.
So we didn't exactly do draft an ordinance. So
I
we're
see.
requesting that because of the report, contents of the report, we're asking that you direct us to
Got it.
draft an ordinance.
Okay, so that's been seconded by Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you.
Any other directives at this time? If not, we're going to move on to our city manager remarks regarding previous directives.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, I have several memos in your packet. The first one being a summary of the actions taken by the Department of Toxic and Substances Control from the California Environmental Protection Agency against the property owner at 2403 Marine. As you know, earlier this year, staff received entitlement application to redevelop the old hospital site at 2315 Marine. Part of the due diligence process, soil and groundwater contamination was found from the adjacent property, which is 2403 Marine, which was previously a dry cleaner. The contamination is not chronic. It was found to be is a chronic, and it's not acute, meaning that the risk to public health and safety is minimal at this time, meaning it will take years of continuous exposure to have a profound effect. Upon learning of the contamination, the city sent the property owner a letter notifying of the contamination and the intent to clean up the site. We received no response from the property owner. We then forwarded the issue to the DTSC. DTSC sent the letter to the property owner informing of the contamination and for a voluntary cleanup program. So at this point, it's still ongoing. As we find out and learn more from the DTSC, we will obviously let you know. The next steps from the DTSC, if the property owner refuses to clean up the site, is to gain control of the property, remediate themselves, and basically clean up the site. Okay. Part of their process would be a public outreach to the neighborhood, and they will let everybody know of basically what they're doing. Yeah.
DTSC.
DTSC will do that.
Okay.
The other memo I have for you is a response to Councilman Medina's request the last time regarding the Nakaoka AV equipment. It basically has all of the features of our new AV equipment. And to answer your question, we did look into it. So the feature will allow any presenters or performers with their own content or media to interface with our system seamlessly. So if you have a USB drive, you plug it in there, you should be able to pull up your content and do your flash drive. Correct, the flash drive. The third one, I think we've already addressed the vacant lot ordinance analysis and report. Just a few announcements. As we said earlier, the Employee Recognition Day is this Thursday, September 26th at the City Hall lawn from 11:30 to 2 p.m. and the theme is 80s. So get to dress up in 80s type of, right. Food, Wine, and Brew Festival is this Saturday, September 28th at the City Hall lawn from noon to 6. The annual toy drive kicks off on Tuesday, October 1st until December 13th. Toys can be dropped off at City Hall, Human Services, and at the Nakaoka Community Center. The 19th annual Pancake Breakfast it's on Saturday, October 5th at the Nakaoka Community Center from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. All proceeds will benefit the Gardena Police K-9 program. The Heritage Festival Street Fair is on Saturday, October 5th, 2019 at the City Hall from 9 a.m. to 3. And lastly, we have a legislative update from our city attorney regarding pending litigation.
It's a litigation update. Late this afternoon, we received a judgment and a writ of mandate in the lawsuit that Gardena filed against the Regional Water Quality Control Board. Gardena won the lawsuit, and today a writ issued telling the Water Board to set aside each and every one of the provisions in the permit pertaining in any way and all, in any way to any and all numeric effluent limits. So we have been successful. We will proceed to use that both in the administrative civil liability complaint and in a request for attorney's fees.
Okay, thank you. Good
So ends my
news.
report, Mayor.
Congratulations.
All right.
Congratulations. That ends my report, Mayor.
That ends your report. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to council remarks. We're going to begin tonight with Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Peter, for that report. I've been pushing that since 2014, and it's good to see that it's coming to an end. I was, since our last meeting, I had a meeting with the Gardena Beautification Committee, and we're planning on seeing if we could extend our summer concerts from June, July, and August to June, July, August, and September, assuming we can raise the right amount of money. So we're looking for that. I also attended a farewell party for Ed Medrano, which was a lot of fun. Ironically enough, I was in the hospital 5 days before that, and we had the party at a brewery. I couldn't drink any beer, but anyway, it was fun. And I also attended the cleanup day, which is also a lot of fun. It's the first time that all 5 of us got together, as far as the city council is concerned. And we definitely contributed to the cleanup and learned some planning skills in the process. I'd like to ask if we could adjourn tonight's council meeting in the name of Rachel Adam, who was very strong in the Sister City Association, also Cinco de Mayo, and also a lot of community efforts. And our mayor will give her more information on that. And also, a good friend of mine who served with the Lions Club, Karen Tankersley, passed away on September 15th. And I'll pass this over to our mayor, and she'll make the announcement later. And so ends my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Mayor Pro Tem Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, September 11, I attended the 18th anniversary of the September 11 here at Nakaoka Community Center. And on the same day, attended the voting solution for all people. It was put together by our city clerk, Mina Semenza, and Deputy Becky Romero. I'm sorry, Romero, yes. So, a great information. I learned a lot of things, to be honest. I was there the whole time, and it was very interesting. Great job putting this together. On September the 12th, attended the pinning of Captain Sefel's ceremony or celebration, I would say. And on the September 21st, Gardena Beautiful Day, all the council members, we were on the road in a van. Thank you, Stephanie, for giving us ride from one park to another. We plant flowers at the Freeman Park under the supervision of Councilman Medina and Councilman Tanaka. We did great. And on September 22nd, which was this past Sunday, I attended the inaugural visit of Armenia's Prime Minister, Nikol Pashinyan, first visit to Los Angeles. And he was hosted by Mayor Eric Garcetti and Councilman Paul Krikorian at the City Hall of Los Angeles in the Rotunda. And after that, behind the city in the Grand Park, there was thousands of people cheering and welcoming our Prime Minister. And I got the chance to meet with the Foreign Minister of Armenia as well. I got the opportunity to ask a few questions. And that in the inaugural visit, Congressman Adam Schiff was present, Lieutenant Governor Eleni Konalakis. It's hard, you know, even though when she was running to the office and she was saying that, you know, it's very hard to pronounce my last name. We should have, you know. Anyway, Mayor Garcetti was there, State Senator Anthony Portantino and Assembly Member Adrien Nazarian. It was a great event, and that same night there was a dinner in honor of the Prime Minister at the hotel, I forgot the name. Anyway, I will remember it now. Biltmore, here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Biltmore Hotel. So, the Prime Minister tomorrow will talk at the United Nations as well. So I was very happy, and I felt very proud and that day, Madam Mayor, and that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so let's see. I was honored to do the invocation and benediction at this year's Patriots Day event. It was a great event. We must never forget. So congratulations to the police department that put that on with our honor guards. Went to G-Trans. I learned how to vote again, but it was pretty easy. So if I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out. So get out and vote. Try the new system. It doesn't hurt. Attended Mike Sefel's promotion to Deputy Chief. Congratulations. Attended the Korean Thanksgiving celebration at the Nakaoka Center. That was a great event. I love my Korean food, so I got both enjoyment that day. Attended the Elks Family Picnic, which is a yearly thing where Elks come out and celebrate with their families about all the good work we do. Attended RCC Board of Directors meeting. Attended the 88 Cities Summit. That was quite an event. It was an all-dayer downtown, and we talked about data to serve your community, balanced energy, transportation issues, economic development problems. There was a whole bunch of stuff throughout the day, so it was mostly about economic development, but it was a good day. Met a lot of my colleagues from other cities, and it was pretty full. Attended the city manager's farewell. Thanks, Ed, for all your hard work. Good luck in what you do next. Attended Gardena cleanup. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Stephanie, and all those that participated and helped make that a great day. We planted plants, and hopefully they live. But it was really good. So We thank the participants, the city workers, all those that came out and volunteered. I think Jersey Mike's, Painters Tape, Rascals, and some other places brought food for us, and thank you very much. And today I attended a opening of a learning center at the Holly Park Methodist Church, sponsored through PACE, Pacific Asian Center for Employment. They have a campus on the church property now that is just fantastic. And if you saw my post today, the mayor actually read to the kids today. It was quite an event. So thank you. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you. And for myself, since the last city council meeting, I too attended the 9/11 ceremony that was held here at the Nagaoka Center. I'd just like to say thank you to all who were involved in putting that together. It was very nice and it was very special. So thank you again for doing that. Also later on that day, I attended the Voting Solutions for All People that was put on by our city clerk's office. Thank you guys. You guys did a great job. If you haven't had the opportunity to go to one of the meetings just to see what the new voting experience is going to be like, the next time they have it, you definitely should try. It's very simple. It's like using an iPad, and I'm a strong iPhone believer. It was very simple. So I believe we did a video on it. Maybe that's something that could be played at a later time just to show everyone how simple it is to use. So thank you guys again for putting that on. I also attended the promotion ceremony for Mike Safel. He is now Deputy Chief. I know, I'm trying to get used to the name, Deputy Chief Safel now. So that too was a very nice event. And also, I got a special little invite to a 35th anniversary of one of our own, Miss Charlotte Lynch, and her husband, Chris's Lynch, their 35th anniversary. So I was very happy to be able to spend a couple of hours with them as they celebrated their 35th anniversary. I also attended to the Elks Picnic, and that's always great being at the Elks. And also, I attended the Pan Restaurant, their 5th grand opening that they had. It wasn't in Gardena, it was in the city of Lomita, but they are just steady growing, and I'm so proud of one of our local businesses just to see them thrive the way they are. I also attended my monthly sanitation meeting, and immediately after our sanitation meeting, I attended a press conference that was put on by Janice Hahn, where she was introducing a new stroke paramedic ambulance. And if you'll indulge me for a second, let me explain this to you. So it's one ambulance that will serve the entire county of LA, and it moves around throughout the week to different areas. So it could be in Santa Monica on Monday and Tuesday. It might be Wednesday and Thursday in the South Bay area. And if you think you're having a stroke, if you call 911 and the ambulance so happens to be in your area, the ambulance will come along with the fire department as well as paramedics and ambulance. And they have a mini CT scanner, let me make sure I have this right, a mini CT scanner, lab testing, as well as medication to determine what type of stroke you're having. So if you're having the kind of stroke that it's bleeding versus, I can't remember the other, there's 2 types. One where it's bleeding and the other is a blockage. They could determine which type of stroke it is and administer the right kind of medicine. As I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this ambulance costs almost $1 million to be built. We were able to meet one of the gentlemen who helped donate majority of the money for it. The county sponsored the other portion. On this ambulance, there is a neurologist, a nurse, a paramedic, and a lab technician. And the interesting thing about this is they mentioned that with some people, when you have a stroke, if you can get to them early enough, they can determine what type of stroke it is and administer the right medicine. You potentially could end up not dealing with some of the side effects like loss of the left side of your body or aphasia, or just, the sloopy face on one side. So it's really neat, and it's still in the pilot stages right now. But to know that we have one in the area is a great start, and hopefully we'll see many more of these because, over the research that they've been doing over time now, it has proven that, responding quickly can help. So very excited about that. And for those of you who follow me on Facebook, I actually have a whole video on that as well, too. Also, the next day, I attended the funeral services for my neighbor, who I'll mention later on, who's a longtime resident in Gardena, passed away after a very tragic car accident on Labor Day weekend. He was 37 years old and a doctor and grew up here in the city of Gardena. Also, later on that day, I attended the farewell party for Ed Madrano, and I'd just like to thank the entire staff for putting that together. It was a great send-off. The video that you guys took the time to put together was really nice. I know Ed really appreciated that. And I just want to thank all of you guys just for coming out. He was very happy to see so many people there as well. And even our old city manager, Mitch Lansdale, came by later on that evening. So that was really special for him, too. Also, I participated in the Keep Gardena Beautiful Day. And again, I'd just like to thank everybody who came out. I saw a lot of city employees just on their own time, just kind of working and volunteering. So thank you guys for being out there. And just to my colleagues, it was a great example of teamwork. It took all 5 of us to plant 6 little plants, but we thank you guys. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, great teamwork. And thank you to Stephanie for driving us around as well, and gave us the opportunity to just go around and thank everybody for participating in our beautification day. My understanding, I believe it was over 420 people who participated in this year's event. So thank you to all of those people if you're watching, as well as to some of our clubs who came out later on that day, like the Optimist Club, Lions Club, Elks, YMCA, Sister City, etc. So there were a lot of them out there. So thank you guys for being there. Also earlier today, I participated with in a photo op with Southwest Printing and G-Drip. And what it was there was a golf tournament that Southwest Printing put on, and the proceeds from the golf tournament, which was $5,000 that was raised, was donated to G-Drip today. So thank you to Southwest Printing for doing that. Last year, I believe it was $3,000. This year, it's $5,000. Next year, hopefully, it'll be $10,000, and everybody will participate in it. So I'm really glad to know that there are people out there willing to help and support a great division that we have here with our G-Drip, because it definitely makes a difference. My understanding is it's a 95% success rate in our community. So thank you again to Southwest Printing. And then lastly, I attended the grand opening of the Aloha Daycare. And as Councilmember Tanaka mentioned, it was over at the Holly Park Methodist Church. One of the things I would like to mention about this daycare is it's free for anybody who needs daycare. If you fit the income requirements there, you could have daycare for free. And they take small babies from 0 to 5, and I believe the oldest was 3 years old. So they specialize in smaller kids there, but it's a beautiful facility. We took a tour of the entire place, and I believe they can keep up to 50 kids. And just really nice. My understanding is Pace spent over $620,000 just in remodeling this area for the classrooms there. So yes, it had a lot of little people stuff. It was probably the cutest little thing I've ever seen, little tiny sinks and desk and so on. It was very cute. So I'm glad we were able to attend that. And again, if you guys are looking for a daycare or know of someone who needs a daycare, if you fit the income requirements, it is no charge, and it's a very, very nice facility. And with that ends my report. And next is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, first of all, I want to say Holly Park United Methodist was very excited that you and Councilman Tanaka were there. That's my home church. So they want to see if I can get you guys to come on Sunday. I said, well, I can't promise that, but prayer always works. Since our last get-together here on the dais, I was at the Patriots Day observation and everything. That's always a somber event. As we know, so many of our neighbors and friends in other places sacrifice their lives on that day and everything. So we want to make sure we always keep them in our thoughts. I attended the District 2 meeting at Sarah High School. I also attended the Korean Harvest celebration Saturday. I want to remind everybody that Gardena Direct does work. There was some graffiti in our neck of the woods of Gardena, and took a picture. I actually had somebody else do it, but I kind of walked them through the process, and they were just amazed. And I want to say maybe 2 days later, the graffiti was gone. So Gardena Direct does work, so we should always make sure we do that. I also attended the Ed Madrano's departing ceremony. It was great to kind of see everybody come out and support him as he moves on to greener pastures, because we are green pastures as being the loveliest city in the South Bay. But it's great to see him kind of move up the ladder. That's what America's about, and I definitely believe that. The Gardena Cleanup Day was an awesome day. I want to thank my colleagues for going around. I love the format. Stephanie drove us around to the different locations where the community groups were working. I think they really appreciated the fact that the council was out there. I do want to say on behalf of Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian and myself, there's the picture with us only having shovels in our hands. Everybody else was supervising. So actually we were getting the work done. Picture says a million words, so we had the shovels in our hand. I also did some community visits and everything. Gardena for Beautiful Day was a great day. All the groups that came out and everything. Hanging with a lot of our seniors in our organization, I've learned the benefits of cod liver oil and everything. I didn't think I would ever have that conversation with anyone, but it was a great hour conversation on all the benefits of cod liver oil. I disagree, but again, it's a great opportunity for everybody to come out. There were a lot of participants that day, so our whole city was very clean in our roadways and our railways. What else happened? This Thursday, Independent Cities Association will be installing the new president, Councilman Richard Montgomery from Manhattan Beach. I will be now then past president as of 12 midnight that evening, so I'm looking forward to being a past president. It's a lot of work representing Gardena as our president and making sure that we always put Gardena first, as well as the South Bay and the other 40 cities that we represent in LA County. My goal as the president was to expand beyond LA County, Ventura, San Diego, and the IE. We've been able to get 2 more cities in the IE. Ventura still is kind of on the fence, and San Diego County City is kind of on the fence. The OC is a little different. They're a little different, so we're still trying to work that out. My premise was local control is kind of what we want to make sure that we hold fast to as local communities and different things like that. So that's the mantra that we all share. So I want to thank my colleagues for being supportive of me in that leadership role, leading all these other cities. It was like leading a herd of cats, and these cats are mountain lions, so it's a little different and everything. But again, with the support of my colleagues, I was able to do a pretty good job in Gardena. We stay on the map. So, Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of quick announcements here. The first one, it was mentioned earlier, but I just want to remind everybody that we have our Food, Wine, and Brew Festival this coming Saturday, September 28th from 12 to 6 p.m. My understanding is the entertainment is the Blues Breeze Band, Aaron Stevenson, Jay Boykin, Sergeant Peppers, Willie Bradley. The tickets are $20. There's a VIP stage admission, which is $65. There's a cigar admission, which is $65 as well. So I believe there's a different pricing for food and wine, but we definitely want to encourage everyone to come out to this Saturday's event. It's going to be a great event. This is my favorite event out the entire year, I think. And so come on out. It's going to be really good. So Saturday, September 28th. Also, so a little forward planning as well. On October 5th, 2019, we will have our Heritage Day Festival Street Fair. And that will be here off of 162nd Street. And it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Prior to that, we have our 19th annual pancake breakfast, and that will be from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. All the proceeds from this will benefit our Gardena Police K-9 program, and that is it's only $5 per person, and that will be held at the Nakoka Community Center. I just thought about it. I don't know if I mentioned the Food, Wine, and Cigar Festival will be at the Nakoka as well, too. Also on October 31st, the city will have a blood drive. So the City of Gardena has partnered with the American Red Cross for another blood drive at the Nakoka Community Center. It is scheduled for Halloween, October 31st, and the times are from, it does not state. If you have questions regarding this, you can call us at City Hall at 310-217-9577. So we encourage all to definitely give blood and donate to the American Red Cross. And then lastly, a couple of things here. I believe all of the council members may have received this here. If there's anybody who's interested in sitting on the civil grand jury, we have applications here, and I will leave them in the city manager's office. They're looking for people to become participants in the civil grand jury as a juror. So it's a great thing to do if you have the extra time to do that. And for those people who are interested, we'll have this information in our city manager's office if you would like to be a juror for the grand jury. And then lastly, just want to remind everybody that we're always looking for more people to honor through our Gardena military veterans. We have applications here at City Hall. I believe it's in our main lobby area to qualify to be one of our veterans that we recognize at the beginning of every meeting. You just have to live in the city of Gardena and be honorably discharged. So with that, Mayor Pro Tem, you have an announcement?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. After the meeting, I would like to invite everybody in the audience to the back room over here. We're going to celebrate our Councilman Henderson's birthday, and we're going to have delicious cakes, not a beer. We're going to have a cake, and it's a lemon flavor, if I'm not mistaken, Stephanie, right? So and everybody, please, after the meeting, join us in the back room. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to our remembrances. Tonight, we're going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Carl Lyons, who was 45 years of age. He was the beloved brother of City of Gardena custodian Vincent Stebb. Mr. Lyons is also a relative of former Gardena Chief of Police Rod Lyons. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Alki Smith, who was in the mid-70s the beloved grandfather of custodian Vincent Stebb of the General Services Department. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Dr. Markel Lakeith Trin, who was 37 years old. He was born and raised in Gardena. He passed away from his injuries received in a tragic car accident on Labor Day weekend. He was currently a physician in Victorville. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Drew Beavers, which was a friend of mine, who worked here in Gardena at my office with me. He worked for several years producing music at one of my radio stations. Also, we'd like to adjourn in memory of Miss Rachel Adam, who was, I don't have her exact age. She was a member of Sister City.
January 1st.
She was born January 1st, 1924, and she passed on September 22nd, 2019. She was married to Mr. Fred Adams in 1946. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Miss Karen Tankersley, who served with the Lions Club. She was born in 1949, and she passed on September 15, 2019. And lastly, we're going to adjourn in memory of a former Gardena employee who retired 2 years ago from our police department. Our retired Lieutenant Russ Temple passed away this evening after over 30 years of service to the city of Gardena. So at this time, the city of Gardena, our October 8th, 2019 meeting will be canceled. And we're at this time going to adjourn to a study session regarding economic development, which will be at 6:30 on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019, which will be followed by a regular city council meeting at 7 p.m. So at this time, we are adjourned. Thank you.